Hello, you wonderful Life Path 22 person. Welcome to your year ahead overview. So, this is your life sector overview, and this is where we're going to look at all of the different sectors of your life and how your life path number interacts with the universal year energies. So, for you, this 2025 life in general as an overview, it brings your magnanimous, massive energy to ground. This is going to be the best approach for you this year. If you want progress or even just a smooth life, you need to start getting into the details, right? This isn't a year for the grand, bold plans and vision. Like usually, that's your sort of modus operandi, right? This year really isn't for that. This is for the metadata and adjusting accordingly. Slow down, be present, and focus on what needs to be done. You're naturally hardworking. Everybody knows that. But this year isn't just about hard work, it's also about good work. This is the year where you have to slow down, bring it down to ground, right? Bring it back into here, cross your T's, dot your I's. This is not a year for delegation. This is a year for responsibility. All right. So you got to show up in that way. Now, when it comes to love and partnership and relationship, this will require maintenance. If your partner this year, you really need to look at the state of your connection, ask yourself what's missing, and then devise an open and honest plan to get yourselves there. If your partner agrees, and if they don't, then you find a different way that works for you. If you're in it, then be in it, right? Be present. Don't treat your partner like an employee this year because it will really start to grate. Be in it with them, right? Be present and be focused on the connection. If you're single this year and looking, it's really about getting clear on what you desire and also being honest about what you need, and even more so, what you are actually able to give. Right? This isn't about a list of all of your wonderful accolades and all of your assets and your money and all the rest of it. Truth be told, a lot less people care about that stuff than they do about the content of the relationship that you're going to give them, right? So this year, be really honest and clear with yourself before anybody else about how much time, how much effort, how much love, how much care you really have to give to a partner. Right now, many people, when looking for love, they just want someone to fit into their own lives. They don't want a partner, they want a doll, right? A dolly, right? If that's what you're looking for, fair enough, no problem. If you are of the mind that you only have a few hours a week to dedicate to someone, that's not going to make a relationship work. It would be best if you were honest about the level of commitment you're able to offer this year and how much you are willing to let someone into your own life. That's what's going to make all the difference if you're single. For those, when it comes to your finances, when it comes to money, this is actually a very good year for money for you, right? Providing, providing you find your philanthropic streak, right? If you want your own money to grow this year, you need to find a way of giving money out to others in a way that makes a difference. When I tell people this, they often say, like, oh, I don't have money to give. And the truth is, everybody wastes money, right? We're all wasteful with money in some way, shape, or form. It will be on something that you don't really want, something that you don't really need, whether it's 5 quid or 500 quid. In the end, denying yourself that frivolous thing to make a difference in somebody else's life is what's going to amplify your own wealth this year, right? So, what I mean by this is if you've got spare, if you've got extra, and everybody does, maybe not a lot, but whatever it is, give it to somebody who you know can benefit more than you just buying some random piece of crap that you don't want or is gonna get thrown in a drawer at some date, sometime later down the line. This is a good year to see a financial advisor, maybe to get clear on what payments and purchases are unnecessary in your life. Paying attention to the money this year will be crucial because it can be a really fantastic foundational year for building wealth. All right. Now, when it comes to your work and your career, when it comes to work and career, it's usually you are the boss, right? You are the person in charge, and what you do or say kind of goes downward. This year, you are looking upward, right? You're being brought to ground. So being a team player and having and cultivating a team playing attitude where you roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. A connective and interactive energy is what you're going to need to bring to the work and the career this year. Whether you work for yourself, whether you own a business, whether you work for someone else, your team is your power base this year. You need to become and delve actually deeper and into proper management, right? Working really hard to create a solid ecosystem is what you really need to aim for here. This is about finally, really, not even finally, but it's about learning to follow a structured plan and maybe even starting to understand where things are not as efficient as you would like them to be. It really can be a great year of change for you as a Life Path 22. It just, and if you want really to succeed, your usual way of just bulldozing through it all is not going to get it done. Slow, steady, detailed plan as a team player, right? That is what's required for your success this year. When it comes to your health and vitality, build your body, build your health. This is a marathon energy, right? A day by day energy. This isn't about hard and fast cardio, pushing yourself to the max or extremes. This is a year for you to get really serious about maintaining the health of your body. Working with an osteopath or a chiropractor is highly favored for you this year. It will, especially for all Life Path 22s in general. I always advise that you work with those because of the ruler of your number. But this year, especially, if you are so inclined, acupuncture, lymphatic drainage, things like this can really help your body this year. It's a great year to care for your body on that solid level, slow, steady, nothing hard, fast, or invasive, right? Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, in which case, go for it. But slow down, slow the fuck down, chill the fuck out, right? Like, you just really relax it. Finally, some of you might really benefit this year from finding regular meal times and building a food routine in terms of what you eat and when. Stay tuned as we get into your 12-month tarot breakdown.
Hello, you wonderful Life Path 22 person. Welcome to your 12-month tarot breakdown. So let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So you're going to get, as always, one destiny card, one direction card for each month of the year. And remember, your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're about to have, okay? So what I want to say to you is this. Whether you check in with these month by month, every 3 months, every 6 months, I love that you guys come back and share and you update and you let me know how it's been going for you and how it played out. That really means a lot. For those of you that support my work by buying the Astro-Tarot videos and stuff, that also really means a lot. So thank you so much. All right, now, for your key, your first card out this year, you have the Moon card. So this year is going to be a little bit more reflective for you, all right? And what I will say is it may be a year that really asks you to focus more on your internal self as opposed to the external. As a Life Path 22, you have what I call like the amazing ability to download and go. So it's like the information comes in and you're like, right, excellent, that's the plan, let's go. You get everything and everyone around you fired up, you get it done, you put foot to butt and you make it happen. The challenge that you have this year, the energy is a lot more inward. It tends towards developing yourself, like self-development. It tends towards being a bit more reflective about yourself, about your actions, about your processes. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that this year, if you're expectant, especially with the planets that, as we start the year, Mars is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde. So if you're expecting to start this year with that massive dynamic push of energy like we usually have, it's not, this time you don't have that energy here, right? So it's something that I want you to be really conscious of. Now, the Moon card, as an overall, I've talked about because the Moon card also represents your past. So you'll be thinking about this in some way, shape or form. In terms of January, this will be where you're taking stock and also where you're starting to understand how your instinctive and intuitive energies really unfold. All right, so let's give it some context and flesh it out a bit with your direction card. And you have, oh, come on. Dun, 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 dun. The Knight of Swords. Okay, so there are going to be a few knee-jerk reactions this month of January, and I want you to be mindful that this is a possibility, okay? What it looks like as well on a really practical level, this is documents, paperwork, or information that you've already submitted that you're asked to resubmit. So they ask you for information and it's like you've sent it off, you think everything's going fine, and then you get a message or an email or a phone call to say, we need more information from you. And you're like, hang on a sec, I've already given you this. What the hell is the hold up? Try not to lose your shit. All right, you are a life path 22, so you like things to be smooth, right? You like the plan to work because usually the plan is very well executed. It's got a lot of detail, it's planned meticulously, right? So when things don't work as planned, you get a little bit fractious about it. And I will say January has the potential to do this. Now, that said, if you are in an interview situation in January, try not to get too reflective and try not to talk too much about the past, because you don't want to give the wrong impression. It's really weird, but you might come across as more emotional than usual in January. And you don't want, it's not that you don't want people to see that, it's a universal 9. Emotional, humanitarian, kind, charitable, etc. All of those things, that's what wins the year, right? So it's important that you demonstrate those. But in certain types of situations, you need to hold on to who you are, but just soften the edges of who you are, all right? It's not about changing your personality completely. I think more than anything, this is kind of like teething pains. This is you just trying to get your bearings and get used to the year that you're having. Now, as we come into February 4th, Jupiter goes retrograde. February 24th, Mars goes... On the 4th of February, Jupiter goes direct. 24th of February, Mars goes direct. Don't get too used to this direct motion energy though, and you're going to see why as we move forward. For February, you have the World card. You know that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know? February is a month that's going to remind you how true that is. Usually you can be a one-man band, set the crew up, let them get to work while you go on to the next mission of conquering the world. You don't have that luxury or that energy this year, all right? It's just not available to you. That's not a bad thing. It just means that you are going to have to think about working more collaboratively, finding a way to be more cohesive. This is the card that represents your life path number, by the way, because it is the World card, right? The World card is ruled by Saturn, who is your ruler. And the secret of the Life Path 22, or should I say the World card in Tarot, it is the last Tarot card in the Major Arcana. Because of the Fool being numbered 0, this card has a secret, and that is that it is actually the 22nd Major Arcana, not the 21st. So, that being said, your community, the people that you're tied to, work with, or connected with, they're going to mean everything. And you've got this with the 10 of Swords. It may be, especially if you own your own business, maybe you're firing a community, maybe you're changing your entire work staff, maybe you discover some kind of corruption, right through to, you know what, they're just not up to scratch, or where I'm going with the new business, they don't have the skill set. This could also be on the heavier end of the scale. Maybe you're being asked to leave a community. Maybe you suddenly realize like, wow, okay, I'm no longer sort of welcome here. I don't fit with these people. And these might be people that have been a big part of your life, have been a big part of your past. You might suddenly look around and not recognize the people that you're tied to and say, you know what? it's time. It's time for me to move. It's time for me to change my location. It's time for me to change my team. Maybe it's time for me to change my job. Either which way, something that has been what you would consider a staple part of your existence is going away, right? February brings an end to a long-standing connection. March is a packed astrological month. It's huge, right? Absolutely huge. Second of the month, Venus goes retrograde in Aries. She's going to come back into Pisces. Hold on to that idea. 13th of the month, Mercury goes retrograde. It's going to retrograde in Aries, come back into Pisces. Hold on to that thought. 14th of the month, full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. 29th of the month, new moon solar eclipse in Aries, the final one in that cycle. As if that wasn't enough, we also have Neptune, a 14-year transit. Now, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus are all going to change signs this year. They dip into the next sign, but come back this year. It won't be until 2026 where they go in for full time. I'm calling 2025 the year of humanity rebooted. We're going to see a lot of energy come back into the sign before and then go forward, and a lot of energy crossing the Pisces, the 12th house, and Aries, the first house, or the first and 12th signs of the zodiac, the past and the future. Or should I say the past and the present, right? It's like we're rebooting it. So, and as if that wasn't enough, that transit of Neptune, it will come back into Pisces and then go forward again into Aries. We're rebooting humanity in some regard, and Neptune in Aries, once in a lifetime transit. We won't see this again in our lifetimes, right? It's a 14 years through one sign in a transit. March, if you want to know how all of this talks to you and your sign, make sure you get your Astro-Tarot, check them out. You can get your sun, moon and ascendant. There's a bundle if you want to get all of them for family members, etc. I put a lot of heart and soul and effort into those. For those of you that do purchase them, it really does mean a lot, and it supports me and my work throughout the year. So thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. Now, March, you have the High Priestess. Hidden things revealed and trusting your intuition, right? Your intuitive faculty will be firing on all cylinders at this time. You've got the Eight of Pentacles, you've got the Eight of Cups. This, I actually think, is you walking away from holding a secret. This may be that somebody comes to you and says, you know, this is about to happen or this is about to come out. I need you to hold on to this. I think this is a bit of a moral quandary, I'm sorry to say. I think there's something that is either shared with you or given to you as a piece of information that you'll have to think long and hard about whether you are going to keep this secret or not. It may be that you just walk away from it and say, you know what, I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with protecting it, but I also want nothing to do with outing it. Now, in terms of your intuition, it will be evident to you, right? So a community connection, long-standing tie is coming to an end. You will have a really deep sort of decision to make and an intuitive hit as to whether this is the right thing for you to do. Only you can really answer that for yourself, but it's, you know, March has the potential to be really internally conflicting. As we come into April, Mercury and Venus will go direct. By the time we get to the 15th of the month, everything will be direct. We're able to really move forward in some way, shape or form. If you want to launch something new, 15th of April onwards is your period, right? From there onwards, that's when we can breathe a collective sigh of relief and say, okay, we're done, right? Now we get to finally actually move forward. And yet you have the Hanged Man. So far, all of this is speaking to the internal experience. And that's why I say to you, this year, it's not going to be the big usual external push and drive forward. There's going to be a lot more thought, a lot more feeling behind what you're doing. And there's going to be a lot more of your, and I don't say this in a bad way to say that you don't have one, but it's just like a lot more of your conscience is going to be making the decisions or running the show this year. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's good to have periods in our lives where we're a bit more reflective, a bit more quiet, where we hold back and we reassess, reevaluate, which is what you're doing in April. To clarify on that, you've got the Queen of Cups. A Pisces woman or potentially a Cancer woman could feature for you. Conversations that you're having with a mother, a feminine figure, an important, feminine woman or role model in your life. Conversations that you're having with a person like this at this time could be really informative for you. They could be helping you make decisions from that more heart-based energy. It's also, it's possible that you may be confused or conflicted around a feminine influence in your life, potentially a water sign person, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. As we come into May, Saturn is going to move out of the sign of Pisces and move into the sign of Aries. Remember, it's just dipping its toes. Once every 30 years, Saturn travels the whole zodiac. It's a 3-year transit. So you're going to see over this period, or from May onwards, what you're getting from 2026 through to 2029 in terms of the Saturnian energy. For this, you have the Magician card. This is where you start to come sort of a bit more into yourself, right? This is where you start to reclaim and reorientate yourself and your personal power. And this is where you're starting to really push forward. And this is totally in line with the first 4 months of the year, right? You spend a lot of time in reflection, a lot of time thinking and redevising and replanning and thinking about where you're going. And then May, this is where you start to launch back out into the world. This is the Magician with his wand, right? This is you with your personal power in hand. This is fun, pleasure, joy. It's you sharing information, whether this is books, blogs, websites, potentially a YouTube channel, but something probably more creative than that. Commercial sales and activity. This is a great time for this. This is where you could be putting something out and it's actually getting the traction that you hope it would. Anything that you tried to do prior to that, I'm sorry to say, but the energy just isn't there for it. You can work against the planets if you choose. Please have at it. I've tried it myself before. Didn't end well. All right. I just burnt myself out. And as a 22, you have the potential to really burn yourself out. So please be careful. Okay. Now, as we come into June, Jupiter, the Lord of growth, expansion, abundance, levity. Jupiter is the great benefic of the zodiac, is coming into its sign of exaltation. This is where Jupiter does some of its greatest work, and it's blessing you with its bounty, with its fruits. If you want to find out what sign, well, you already know what sign this is, but if you want to find out how this speaks to your sign, it's a once in 12-year transit, might add. Get your sun, moon and ascendant sign, or get the bundle. You can do that on the link in the description box below. You get your lunations, you get your life sector overview, you get your Astro-Tarot cheat sheet, and on top of that you get another 12-month breakdown, but specifically for your sign. Now, with that said, you've got the Tower, right? So this is some disruption. And you never know, it might be some healthy disruption, right? Sometimes we need a little shake up here and there. And I think, to be fair, you probably will need some at this point. You've got this with the King of Cups, a water sign person, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I will say, when it comes to June, you could be having some kind of idea or intuition or some kind of intuitive leaning around a business matter. And it might go in the face completely of everything that maybe you have planned, maybe everything that you have worked on with somebody else. And they're like, we had a plan, we were going to do this, we were going to go in this direction, and now you're changing everything. Like, if that's what your intuition says to do, you have to follow it, right? This year, as I said, you're going to be a lot more reflective. The intuition is going to be firing on all cylinders. You just have to make sure that the information that you're getting is information that is A, viable, and B, it's coming from the true source. And in order to really know when your intuition is telling you the right thing, you have to be centered in yourself. You have to know how your personal intuitive faculty is working. And the way that you do that is by adhering to what these 4 months of the year are really asking from you. That's how you gain the clarity that you need this year to know whether your intuition is on point or whether it's taking you on a wild goose chase. As we come into July, we have Mercury going retrograde for the second time of the year in the sign of Leo. It will stay in that sign. On top of that, we've got Uranus going into the sign of Gemini. Unless you were born with this Uranus in Gemini, this is a once or twice, maybe, in a lifetime transit. So again, if you want to find out how that's speaking to you, you know what to do. That being said, remember, it's only dipping into the sign of Gemini. It won't come in full time until 2026 because it's going to retrograde out of there, back into Taurus, the tail end, do what it needs to do, and then vamonos. All right, so for July, you have the Lovers card. Love, relationship, partnership. All of those interactions are coming to the fore. And you've got this with the Five of Pentacles. Now, one way that this possibly shows up is a partner's resources. If you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, your partner's resources could really suffer in the month of July. It may also be possible that they lose a job, all right, which would cause suffering of, and another way that this also shows up, if it's not the loss of a job, this could be that they have, it's usually a minor accident, but it's one that takes you off your feet. And usually when we have this kind of experience, the message has already been coming up and it's just been ignored. So if over the first sort of 6 months of the year, you look at your partner and you think, you should be resting up at this moment in time, you have a chance to avoid this, right? And the way that would be to do it would be to point out to them, like, your body or your energy is doing this. Take a rest at the minute. That would be wise right now, okay? Now, in terms of decisions, this I'm a little bit concerned with. And, you know, the beauty of having a reading like this is not to say like, oh, well, those are crap months then, so, you know, I'll throw the whole reading in the trash. Now that you know this, adjust accordingly. That's how we use predictive tools, right? We adjust accordingly. This is likely to be happening at the time. Okay, what can I put in place that stops or mitigates that from being a serious factor? Whatever decision you're making in June via your intuition, potentially the result of it could be a financial loss of some sort. So again, get really clear on how your intuition is speaking to you. Start to understand, right? If you're making a move and you've got somebody who you've worked with, partnered with on the project, and is saying to you, you know, we had a plan and you're deviating from it and I don't think it's going to go the right way, they might be they might be right. And so if you ignore that for the sake of your intuition and it's not firing on all cylinders, or you're listening to something else, or it's, you know, an echo or a memory, you potentially financially, you know, shoot yourself in the foot. Watch out for this, right? Now, as we come into August, fresh start, reboot, right? New things, new places, new people, new energies, new passion projects and excitation, new things that are making your heart sing, right? Love this for you. Ace of Cups is a fresh start or a new beginning. If you're looking to conceive, August is a really great month for making a baby, right? Now, the Ace of Cups is also a wish fulfillment card, and when it shows up with the Fool, this is something that you have wanted, something that you desire, something that you really crave or yearn for on that heart level has the chance to now come to fruition or come into, you know, actuality for you. September, on the 7th of the month, full moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. 21st of the month, new moon, solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. For this, and if you want to know how the eclipses are speaking to you, check out, you know what to do, check out the Astro-Tarots. You've got the Empress. You've got this with the Eight of Wands. If you're planning a land purchase or to build a home or you're looking for a piece of land or a stable base of some sort, September could actually see you find somewhere. The thing is, it may be a lot more rural than you expect. And I mean, while Life Path 22 people can like rural stuff, they tend towards more of a, what's the word? They tend to be like, they want to be where the action is, right? They're not really interested in being, you know, like completely isolated. Now, the Empress is Venus or Venusian energy, so this is like the best experience that you can have. It shows up here with the Eight of Wands. This is communication on a grand scale. Communication is, you know, I'm talking emails, text messages, phone calls. There's a lot of back and forth at this time, and there's a lot of information that's flowing in and out. Luckily, the information is good, but I would still say, because you're in the eclipse season, it might not necessarily be the best time to act. It's a really good time to gather information, but not necessarily to move ahead with it just yet. As we come into October, you've got the Emperor, so the opposite end of this, working with or alongside the authorities in some regard, especially because you've got the Hierophant card. Now, on a mundane level, this could be spending time in a hospital. On a more sort of broader scale, this is where you are working with or alongside the local authorities, the local police, the, you know, local government, etc. You're interacting with those bigger and larger institutions. There's potentially some sort of red tape here. It may be as well, if, like, let's say you're trying to do something like, I don't know, get married. Right, you're interacting with the local church and they say, well, actually, no, you can't have that day because it's a national celebration or whatever. There's something here that will need careful mitigation, but there's also a lot of red tape around something that you're either trying to get off the ground. So if you're building a house, you run into problems with the regulations. If you are planning to buy land in order to put a house on it, they're saying to you, know, or let's say you buy a house and it's grade 2 listed. So here in the UK, we've got this thing called like a grade 2 listed building, which means it's a historical treasure. So there's only certain or sort of limited things that you're actually allowed to do with it. There's a lot of paperwork there as well. November, the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year. It retrogrades in Sagittarius and it's going to come back into the sign of Scorpio. For this, you have the Chariot card. Whatever legal challenges, problems, or issues, etc. you run into in October, no problem, no harm, no foul. You come out the victor. And you've got this with the Knight of Cups. This is someone rushing to your aid or support. On a practical level, this is you taking some kind of trip or a journey. This is a travel month for you. August is a travel month for you as well. September's probably more than likely a travel month. I love November. This is help and support for you to get something over the finish line. So whatever red tape, bureaucracy, rules, regulations, etc. that you run into, you're not breaking them. You don't need to. You don't even need to bend the rules. You come out the victor because what you're doing is of pure intent. As you come into December, you've got the Sun card. What a way to finish, right? You start with the moon, finish with the sun. All right, we like it. We like it. Light, heat, blessings, joy, abundance, happiness, creativity. You've got this with the Three of Pentacles. This is new information, new learning. For some of you, you might be deciding to go back to school at this time. You might be deciding that there is a whole world of new information that you want to get into. This could be that there's definitely an international feel for this last 4 months of the year. And this, I think, is the real traction in the year, with a little bit of a hiccup in October. Whatever you are trying to establish or to build out in the world, and there's always something for a Life Path 22, December will see this go ahead. All right, so love that for you. Now, in terms of your power months and your challenge months, January is going to be a challenge month. February will feel like one, I think. June and July, challenge months, and potentially October, although I see it more as annoying rather than a challenge. Your power months, however, May, I absolutely love for you. August, I love for you. September, I love. November, I love. And December, I absolutely love. So it's a really nice mixed bag. Anything that I haven't mentioned is neutral. And finally, your Human Design Oracle deck Key to the Year card is kind of like a tidbit of information to give you some overall direction. And for this year, you have the Greater Good. This is so interesting, right? Remember what I said about this year, you're working on yourself. It's a self-development year. I love that because it's softening you in some way, and it needs to, so that you can push forward with your bigger plans. This Greater Good card basically is you scratch my back, I scratch yours, we work together and everybody gets something out of it. The more you foster that energy over the course of this year, usually it's like me, myself and I. You work for me, get it done, right? Whereas this year, if you work in a collaborative way alongside or with other people, not only will you get that much more out of it, but your endeavors will go that much further. With that said, check in month by month. Check in every 3 months, every 6 months, however it speaks to you. Check out your Astro-Tarot offerings. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year. All the best for 2025. Take care, and I'll see you soon.